Welcome to the Blogger Genius Podcast, brought to you by MiloTree. Here's your host, Jillian Leslie.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Blogger Genius. I want you to know that we take your comments and feedback very seriously. One thing that we have discovered is that many of you who are listening to the podcast do not have blogs yet. So David and I have started a service to help you get your WordPress blog set up right and set up quickly. It's called MiloTree BlogStart. And what we will do is we will get your blog optimized. It will be ready to go. It is a seamless, easy process. And the best part is that if you run into any difficulty, especially any technical difficulty, we will be here to help you. We really want to support you in growing your business. So the way to find out more is to head to milotree.com / that's the slash falling forward, BlogStart, BlogStart, milotree.com / BlogStart. If you have any questions about it, please reach out to me at jillian@milotree.com. I always love hearing from you. And really, this is all about us taking what we know and sharing it and really trying to support and help you as you take the leap and launch your business. For today's interview, I am talking to Amber Bracegirdle. She is one of the founders of Mediavine, which is an online ad network. I know many of you listening to this show use Mediavine to put ads on your blogs. It was interesting talking to Amber because I didn't know how Mediavine came to be, and it almost became an ad network by accident, as you'll hear. We talk about how Amber thinks about creating content. She really has systematized it in an interesting way. We talk about the future for publishers and bloggers, and she is very bullish about it. So if you are thinking about monetizing via ads, then I think you'll be really interested in this episode. But also just to hear, she sees a lot of content and she is really sharing her best practices. So without further delay, here is my interview with Amber Bracegirdle. Amber, welcome to the show. I'm really excited to chat with you.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
So let's talk about briefly your background and how you started with Mediavine and what the story is behind all of that.
Yeah. So I started blogging in 2008. I was living in New Jersey and missed my grandmother and wanted a way to sort of share her recipes and the things that I grew up with here in Texas. And so I started my blog. Back then it was called Bluebonnets and Brownies. Now it's called Bluebonnet Baker. And that I was just kind of floating along, having that as a side project. I had a pretty successful career as a fraud analyst. And then in around 2012, went to a blogging conference in Philadelphia with a couple of my blogging friends. At the time,
what conference?
It was Tech Munch.
Okay.
So it was organized by a blogger in Philadelphia with the help of the organizers behind Tech Munch. Sort of a smaller blogger, about 75 people, I think it was. Smaller conference, I mean. And what's really funny is my podcasting partner, Joshua, who's, we have a podcast about SEO called Theory of Content. And he was at Tech Munch to speak about SEO. He had been asked by the organizer of the conference, and Eric Hochberger, who is one of my three co-founders, attended that conference with Joshua to try and find a food blogger to help him create a food site.
Ooh.
So what was happening is that the guys had a bunch of other sites, the main ones being the Hollywood Gossip, TV Fanatic, and Movie Fanatic, and their ad company kept telling them the only way that they were going to make more money would be to enter into the lifestyle space. Now, the three of them, the only sort of common lifestyle genre or niche that they could think of that they liked was they all like to eat. So let's start a food site. And so what happened at that conference is there was actually a Google Plus representative from Google there. And they're in like the weeks leading up to this blogging conference, there had been a huge hullabaloo in the blogging groups about the fact that the terms and conditions of Google Plus stated that if you uploaded a photo to the Google Plus servers, that you were transferring copyright.
Ooh.
Which obviously is a big problem for a lot of bloggers back then who were selling their photography to food brands. And so I, in this tiny room of, 60, 75 people, raised my hand and took on the Google Plus person and was like, can you explain this? And you're here to encourage us to use this platform, but this could harm our businesses. And the story goes, I didn't know this at the time, but Joshua has since told me that Eric just leaned back in his chair and goes, that's her. And so we launched Food Fanatic in 2013, January of 2013, and Eric and I met in September or October of 2012. So it was a pretty quick turnaround. They already had the site sort of running and had put a few posts up, but didn't really know like what to do next. And so we were working on that. And then sort of at the end of Q4 that year, our ad company kind of sort of fell apart in terms of their results. And our ad income sort of cut in half overnight. And so here they are with now 4 families to feed, an army of contributors, including all these food bloggers I brought to them. And we're making half as much as we were. And all of us sort of started to freak out. Well, Eric, more than anybody, I think he didn't let on how bad it was to most of us. And he said to me, I think I can build something that will allow us to take advantage of this new stuff called header bidding. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, let's try it out. And so Food Fanatic was, I think, one of the guinea pigs because he didn't want to mess around with it for Hollywood Gossip. And he did do backfill for the Hollywood Gossip. And kind of what happened is within 2 weeks, we were kind of out earning our main ad network with remnant advertising. And so it was kind of really obvious very quickly that we didn't need the ad company that we had a standing contract with for the last, I don't know, they started in 2004, so 8 years.
Right. So all of a sudden you guys could become the ad company.
Right. Well, and the thing was we could become the ad company, but also we weren't imagining the company that Mediavine is today, right? Eric was building that technology for the 4 sites we were running.
Right.
And so he was very opinionated in what he was doing. So for example, he built that technology from day one before anybody else had it on their websites to lazy load the ads. Because he didn't want the ads to impact site speed because most of our traffic came from search. We didn't want to lose our SEO rankings over site speed. He also, made the script for the ads asynchronous, which means that they don't stop the other things from loading while they load, which no one else was doing at the time. At the time, it was a synchronous script that meant if you had a bad ad,
your site was
just locked up.
Yep.
Right. And so by running it asynchronously, like that also changed the game.
Yep.
And so he went into it like we were kind of too dumb to know that we were turning what were industry standards on their head. We were doing that because we were opinionated about what we wanted for our site, and we had the ability to create something that did exactly what we wanted.
Right.
And so we really kind of lucked into it that we were very opinionated, and that Eric is just so smart, right? Like he's so smart about this stuff. And so what happened is bloggers always talk to each other, and my best friend is Jamie from My Baking Addiction. And we have been friends since 2008. We started our blog at the same time, and we met on Twitter. And she said to me, do you think you guys could help me too? Instead of her running the ad network she was running. And I said to Eric, Jamie's asked if we would help her, and she had really helped us grow Food Fanatic. And so Eric was like, well, if I'm going to help anybody, it would be Jamie. So let me go and find out what I have to do to represent a site that we don't own on the ad exchanges. And so he went away, and we had to jump through a bunch of hoops to prove that like we weren't trying to do something nefarious and get a lot of approvals from different places. But we did that. Then we quickly realized that because we were launching this entirely programmatic solution, right? Programmatic ads were fairly new at that time, which is the ads that use cookies and history to provide relevant advertising to the person that's on your page.
Right.
No one else was doing an entirely programmatic solution. And that's what we were doing.
Wow.
We weren't offering any sort of direct sales, and we didn't offer direct sales until we made a deal with Condé Nast for them to do our direct sales while we did the programmatic. And so it was kind of a revolutionary idea, again, too stupid to know that we were doing something revolutionary. And so we realized very quickly that in order for programmatic to perform well, you actually need as much scale as possible,
right,
which is sort of the opposite of direct sales.
Right.
So we need to open this up to the wider world. And so two things happened. The first is that we went to a retreat in Jamaica with a bunch of other bloggers to talk about SEO and ads and site speed. And we met Joan from Chocolate and More there. And she had been with a different ad management company that actually managed to get her banned from the second largest ad exchange in the world, which is called AppNexus. And I found the CEO's email on Reddit and emailed him and said, listen, she trusted the wrong people. That's why she was banned. Like, she had 20 ads running in her sidebar. And that's like literally 20 ads. We counted them. And that's why she was banned, because at the time, like, there were some very different rules around advertising. And I explained to him what was going on, and he ended up unbanning her. And she made a post in a Facebook group about it because she knew that we were going to bat for her and how amazing that was for her, which was really, really kind of her to do. And then Lori Lang from Recipe Girl did a very similar post in another Facebook group, just sort of talking about how much Eric and I cared, and that we were really trying hard to provide exceptional results and also improve your website at the same time. And between those two posts, we just sort of exploded.
Wow. And what year is this?
This was 2013.
Okay.
No, 2015.
Okay. Because I think that's probably when I noticed I think I had a friend who went to Mediavine. Yeah. And I was like, what is this Mediavine company?
Right. So we started with the 6 bloggers that wrote for it was only 6 at the time that we started with. We had about 50 contributors, but we started with 6 that asked for our help.
Got it.
And within, I want to say 2 or 3 months, we had like 400 bloggers working with us.
Wow.
And so the thing is that our growth has never stopped.
And how many publishers, bloggers do you have today?
We passed 5,900 this week.
Wow.
And our goal is 6,000 by the end of the year.
Oh, wow. Now tell me, what are the minimums people need to have in order to apply to be represented? I don't know if that's the right word, but to be part of your network.
So what we look for is at least 25,000 sessions a month. That's not page views. The reason we focus on that session number is we don't want people to be gaming the page view system, but by doing things that are bad for user experience, which is typically around 30,000 page views. And then we're looking for traffic from countries that are largely English speaking, because those are where our ad partners are receiving their ads from, and that's what will make you the most money. And then we're also looking for things like long form content, your site being around for at least 3 to 4 months. But a year is better, because we have a couple of ad partners that literally will not work with a domain unless it's at least a year old. And then we're also looking for you not to have been banned from Google AdSense, because we're a Google certified publishing partner.
Right.
And as part of that agreement, we don't take on sites that have been banned by Google.
Imagine growing your Instagram followers with no work. Highly engaged followers. Now imagine it with Pinterest, Facebook, YouTube. How about new email subscribers? Seriously, no work. This is all possible if you install the MiloTree pop-up on your blog. David, my husband, and I started our blog, Catch My Party, in 2009. We've since grown it into the largest party ideas site on the web with millions of page views per month. We did it with hard work and our secret weapon, our MiloTree pop-up, which David built for us. We've grown our Pinterest followers to over 1.3 million and our Instagram followers to over 164,000. And right now, 8,000 other bloggers just like you are using MiloTree to grow their businesses. With MiloTree, you can focus on growing one platform or switch between several. But here is the important thing. If you aren't converting your visitors into followers, subscribers, and customers, you're honestly wasting your own traffic. Make this asset, your visitors, work for you. Since we're bloggers, we get bloggers. So we've optimized MiloTree like crazy. It's a snap to install. It won't slow your site down. It's Google friendly on mobile. And it's so darn cute. You can even add animated sparkles to your pop-up if you like. Sign up now and get your first 30 days for free. Please pause this episode and head to milotree.com to sign up. I know you will thank me. As a bonus, once you sign up, I'm going to send you weekly actionable business tips to help you grow your business. I've been at this a long time and I have a lot to share. Remember, your scarcest resource is not money, it's time. So let MiloTree free up time for you so you can focus on the other important parts of your business. So what are you waiting for? Hit pause, head to MiloTree, and sign up today. Okay, so let's talk about the landscape for publishers today.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you see it changing, evolving, not changing? Like what, if I am a food blogger today, how should I be thinking about the world out there in terms of making money via ads, making money in other ways?
So I think diversification is the number one thing.
So diversified income streams?
Diversified income streams, diversified content types, I think is really important today. And what I mean by that is I think that for all of us OGs, right, the idea of what the content that we put on our website is a blog post. It has one specific topic. It has long form content about that topic. At the end of the post, there's some sort of printable card. And that's where we stop, right? But one of the things that has been, that my eyes have been open to as I have managed Food Fanatic over the years, is that there are a lot of other types of content that we could also be writing that would lift up the things we want to rank for. So things like lists that, or a lot of people would call them roundups, but using a fair majority of your own content in a schema list, that, and a post that is entirely about that list, not just having it like lobbed onto the end of another post.
Okay, wait, let's slow down. So what is a schema list?
So there's a schema type called lists, but it's essentially what bloggers have referred to as roundups.
Okay.
Right? It's a list of posts that are relevant to a specific topic. Now, what happens if you mark that list up with schema is any of the post links that are specific to your domain are outputted in a schema list that Google can read and pick up. And what we're finding, and we offer this in Create, and then also I believe WP Recipe Maker offers it in theirs, but only to food posts.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. I think that's what the case is. I don't use their plugin, but I know that they did release a list functionality after we did. And the thing is that on mobile, if you have a list, you can actually take over the entire mobile carousel.
Right.
So for example, if someone is searching for the best ramen recipes or the best shrimp ramen recipes, and you have an entire list of that with your own content from your website, you can take over the mobile carousel with, all 5 recipes that are in your list.
In that blog post with
Yes.
the list. And so really what you're talking about is serving Google in ways that Google then can understand your content and reward you for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so some of the other things that we've been writing on Food Fanatic for the last couple of years that have brought us tons of traffic would be things like questions that people ask, right? So like one of our top posts right now is how to toast bread in the oven. That's not a recipe, but it is a cooking functionality, right? And it's teaching someone how to do a thing.
And do you have the snippet for that?
Yes.
Okay, so what that means, let's just go back for a second, which is, remember, people go to Google to find out information. People today, I do this all the time, I type in a question. And notice how often now Google rewards me with just the answer to that question.
Yes.
And they're pulling it from a blog post. And I might click through. Chances are, if I'm going to click on something, it will be clicking into that blog post. And that little bit that Google is presenting at the top is the snippet. And I think there is this now, people are very aware of trying to get that snippet from Google. So you become the authority for that question.
Right. And some people like it and some people don't. They think that, people aren't clicking through. Sometimes we get the snippet, sometimes we don't, just based on Google testing things all the time, but we do rank really high for it. Like we're number 2.
Wow.
For that topic.
Right. And remember, everybody, just that, number 1, typically, now with snippets and stuff, things are slightly different. And on mobile, results can be different. However, result 1 gets the most traffic. Result 2 usually gets half that traffic. And result 3 usually gets a half of the second result. And so it kind of continues down that way. So if you can be in the top 3, you're doing really well.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's like my goal in life for Food Fanatic is to get in those top 3 for any number of topics. And I think the thing is that what we're going to see is bloggers sort of diversifying what they write about on their website, because there's so many more things that they could be writing about and aren't.
What do you mean by that? Because the typical conventional wisdom is niche down.
Yeah, I know it is. And I'm not saying that you don't have to do that. What I am saying is that there are different types of content that you can write even within the niche that you've chosen. Okay. Yeah. So like, for example, Food Fanatic has thousands of recipes. We used to publish twice a day.
Wow.
And so we have 5 years of content, almost 6 years of content where we were publishing either once or twice a day, just recipes. Right. But then we've also started to do things like techniques. And so I talk a lot on my blog or my podcast about how we rank really well for sort of anything relating to parboiling. And the reason we do is that we were researching something, keyword research, and realized that we were ranking on how to parboil, like as the question, but with a post specifically about parboiling potatoes. And so we did a little bit more research and realized that there's a ton of traffic related to that term and related to different vegetables and parboiling them. And so we created, I think, 8 or 9 posts that are all about parboiling, but it's parboiling different items.
Right.
And so they're different enough. They're not exact copies, even though the method of the process is very similar. We changed it up enough that it's not duplicate content within our own site, and they all link to each other as well. And they link to that original one. And what we saw was that our content was pushed up, and we started ranking across multiple terms related to parboiling, as well as pushing up that original one.
I love that. I love that strategy. And again, now Google thinks of you guys, Food Fanatic, as the experts on parboiling.
Yes. And I think you can do that with anything. You can do that with, how to paint a room, how to paint, there's different techniques, there's different processes. Like you have to prep a kitchen very differently than you have to prep a bedroom for painting. Right. And so like you can write entire posts about how to prep a bedroom for painting, and then how to prep a kitchen for painting, and then you then have a post about how to paint a kitchen for, you know, like, and they all link to each other. And then you become the expert in how to paint rooms in a house.
Right. And so what you are saying is keyword research is crucial. Back in the day when we all started blogging and we'd be like, what should we write about? What should we write about today? Oh, this sounds interesting. Or I want to try this recipe. I'm going to do a blog post. And now I think that the bloggers or publishers who are winning are the ones who are being much more strategic in how they think about
and mindful. Yeah.
Building
Absolutely.
content.
Yeah.
And thinking about Google in terms of how do I become the expert in this specific niche or a niche within a niche, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that that's something that if you're thinking about it, like we just did a podcast yesterday talking about, there are some people that freak out about, oh, keyword cannibalization. And the idea of keyword cannibalization to me is a little bit ridiculous. And arefs.com has a wonderful post about it if anybody wants to go read it.
I'll link to that.
Yeah, that like literally just search Arefs and keyword cannibalization. But basically, there's an idea out there that if you write about content that is similar, that you are somehow cannibalizing what you're trying you're trying to rank for.
Yep.
And the thing is, if you're doing it the right way in a mindful way and the content is like the different pieces of content are actually useful and providing answers to different problems, you're not going to cannibalize anything. And what you're actually going to do is prove to Google that you are an expert in what you're doing because you're providing enough surface area to do it.
Right. I like to think of it as scaffolding.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that you need a foundation, like for you guys discovering parboiling potatoes, you know, and I'm sure you found that in maybe Google Search Console or, you know, SEMrush or someplace like that to go, wait a second. Like I go into our Search Console and I go into Google Analytics and SEMrush and just kind of poke around and go, okay, now what's percolating? Like what is working? And that is how we create our content calendar for Catch My Party, which is we see what's trending, what people are responding to, and then we go, okay, well, if it's working for boho baby shower, if like boho baby shower dessert tables are doing really well, then we'll be like, hey, we could make a roundup of boho baby shower invitations.
Yeah.
Or boho baby shower decorations, or we go down that, or party supplies, or whatever it is. And we will then just start ticking off these different areas because we want to own boho baby shower.
Right, exactly. Some people call it a content funnel. Some people call it a content tree. Whatever you want to call it, that's what this is. And the idea of keyword cannibalization to me is preposterous. Like, you're not going to confuse Google. They're smart enough.
They're really smart.
They're really, really smart. That's why they are what they are. So, you know, I think that that's what we're going to see. We're going to see people being more mindful and more diverse in what they're actually writing about. They may not push it all out to their loyal readers, but they absolutely will have it on their website for multiple audiences, right? They'll have it there for their Google audience. They may not even pin it, but they will absolutely have it there for their Google audience that will push up the post they love that is both Pinterest worthy and Google worthy.
Interesting. So you're starting to think about your different audiences and different platforms and what would work on Instagram versus your SEO strategy.
Right. Like, it's something we preach on Theory of Content all the time is you have multiple audiences.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to cater only to the loyal audience that visits your website directly, right? You can cater to the people that are popping in from various search engines. Like, don't get it wrong. Pinterest is a search engine. YouTube is a search engine. Google is a search engine. Like, that's how this all works. And the point is, like, trying to disseminate your content to these different audiences who will be looking for things differently because of the format of the platform that they're on.
Yes. And I would say this, which is if you are a content creator and you make beautiful things, you make beautiful food, you make beautiful crafts, you can still be strategic in how you think about that. Like, it doesn't mean that one of these is calculating and I'm trying to game the system, and one is I get to express my creativity. No.
Yes.
It's just incorporating both when you're creating content, to be
Yes.
thinking about both sides.
Yes. If you're making it a business, like, you have to have that secondary aspect. If you have no interest in making it a business, do whatever you feel. But if your goal is to turn this creative thing that you've done into a lucrative business for yourself, you have to sort of put on that second hat and
Yes.
be a responsible business owner that is thinking about Q4 in Q1.
Yes. Yes.
And I think there is a lot more of that going on now. And some people lament that, oh, I can't just do what I want to do anymore. And that's not what I'm saying at all, ever. Like, the point I actually feel with, like, diversifying your content is it helps you to get less burnt out.
I agree with
Because you
that.
can switch gears, right? And not have to be constantly churning out some new idea and then pushing it out on social and all of these things. You can switch gears and create some content for a little while that maybe isn't as intensive, right? You don't need your own photos. You can buy stock photography, or you don't need to write about all the different things that could possibly happen with this recipe. Instead, you're writing about why sourdough works the way it does, or how to create a sourdough starter, and that's something you're super passionate. Like, weirdly, there are a lot of people that are super passionate about their sourdough starters and treat it like a pet.
Yes.
And I think that, writing about stuff like that it just switches to a different part of your creative brain.
Yes. And also,
there's nothing wrong with that.
And I would say you can start to pull on your recipes and build on those recipes, or go into a blog post that's done well for you, but let's say maybe is not on page 1. And what can you add to that post? Maybe that is something, maybe it is a bread recipe and you can add something about sourdough starters, or you can nerd out on some aspect to make that post even better, so that you could be more strategic about the keywords you're using in that post. And you don't have to go, oh no, what recipe am I going to make today? Because I made 4 this week.
Yeah, exactly.
And where do you think video fits into this?
Oh, video is so important. So important. So it's like, it's good for SEO. It's good for your user experience. It is great for your money. Our average video CPM last year, I believe, when we went to our partner meetings in January, was $19.
Wow.
The average.
Can you explain what that means? Can you explain what that means?
So that's how much you make per 1,000 ad impressions, right? So CPM stands for cost per milli. Milli is Latin for 1,000. And so, I don't know. I guess it was better for them than CPT.
I know. Yes.
But CPM, like, that's basically how much you earn per 1,000 ad impressions. And a display ad on desktop is typically somewhere around like $2 to $3.
Right.
Mobile is typically like $1 to $3. Video on desktop is $19.
Wow.
And there's just not enough video demand, or not enough video produced content to meet the demand that's out there.
Right. Because explain that then let's say, for example, I'm a Mediavine partner, I'm part of your network, and I put your video player on my site.
Yes.
And I've got videos. You are able to show video ads before my video shows.
Correct. It's called pre-roll.
And people are really into that. And companies are really into that.
It works just like YouTube. It works just like YouTube. It just pays a heck of a lot more, because what we're doing is instead of it just being a straight Google purchased ad spot, which is what happens with YouTube, we're running an auction for every spot. And we have 10 ad partners. Google is obviously going to have video demand. AppNexus has video demand. Index Exchange has video demand. Everybody has video demand. And so what happens is when they start bidding against each other, they drive the price up. And they all want video, and they all want video that's highly viewable. And the thing about Mediavine is, because all of our ads, including our video player, are lazy loaded, they don't exist until someone scrolls near them, which means they don't exist unless someone's going to actually see them. And that's what drives that viewability score. Viewability is a portion of the ad, usually it's 50% of the ad, in the viewable screen for at least 1 second.
Right.
And
that's
so
how you get paid.
Right. It's one of the ways you get paid. If your ads are more, like, you're going to get paid if the ad impression loads. But if your ads have an extremely high viewability score, you're going to get paid more.
Right.
Because you are giving the advertisers what they need. They need eyeballs on ads. And if you can prove that to them through your viewability score, which can't be gamed in any way, viewability scores simply cannot be gamed. You have to have an eyeball on an ad. And they can tell that through your browser. And so the ability to make sure that our ads are only loading when they're actually going to be seen by a human provides a way for us to make sure that your viewability score is always high.
Right.
And it means that you are going to get paid more for that ad position than someone who isn't lazy loading advertising.
Right.
And the other thing about it is, because I know that other companies have started offering lazy loading, the thing is that viewability is something that is viewed network wide as well as individual site wide. And so if you are one fish in a big pond of people who aren't lazy loading, the fact that you're lazy loading on your site is going to have a much smaller effect, right? We are definitely in a unique position that because we lazy loaded from day one, this is what advertisers have come to expect from us. And anybody else that was in the space before us, unfortunately, is kind of, unless they were to literally just cold turkey it and say everyone's lazy loading ads now, I don't think that they're going to see the benefit that Mediavine publishers do, just be based on how ad companies use viewability, right? This isn't me like sales pitching. This is literally like, this is how this works.
Right.
And the thing is, if they did cold turkey it, long term, it would be much more money for their people, but the short term would be incredibly painful because there would most likely be much less ads load, like actual ads loading during site load, which means less ad impressions. And because you have this history of a low viewability score, you're loading less ad impressions at a lower CPM. And so that would be really painful for your people. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so I think that other folks, this is the situation of we were too dumb to know what we were doing. And we sort of built this in an opinionated way that actually turned out to give advertisers exactly what they want. And all we were trying to do is give our readers what they want. And so that's kind of been the ethos of Mediavine from the beginning is, let's give our readers what they want and what they are asking for. And accidentally, we're actually also giving advertisers what they're looking for.
Yes. I mean, that makes perfect sense. That does.
Yeah.
Okay. So Amber,
Yes.
if people want to learn more, how can people reach out to you? How can they listen? What is your podcast? How can they find that?
Yeah. So anybody that wants to learn more can visit mediavine.com. We've got a chat bubble in the corner. You can reach out to our support team. We have, I think, 30 people on that team now.
Wow.
That are available pretty much 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern every day, including weekends. You can absolutely reach out to them. And they will guide you through the process, as well as, the website has lots of information about us. You can listen to Theory of Content on theoryofcontent.com or in iTunes or any of your podcast software. Yeah. And then you can reach me on Facebook, or you can email amber@mediavine.com. We're very open.
Well, Amber, thank you so much for being on the show.
You are so welcome. Thank you for having me.
My biggest takeaway from this episode is really about being intentional when you are creating content. So you don't have to sell your soul. You can still create content that's meaningful to you, but you do need to put on that other hat and make sure that the content you create is also growing your business. And if you are ready to grow your business or to start your business, and you don't have a blog, head to milotree.com/BlogStart, and we will get you off on the right foot. You have any questions? Reach out to me, Jillian at MiloTree.com, and I will be back here again next week.